President Barrow has urged religious leaders to promote peace among Gambians. Nigeria has registered a significant decline in capital importation due to the lack of foreign investors. And the Cardiff Municipal Council has elected a new staff welfare committee. Well, these and more coming your way in this week. Hello, this is Africa TV, and once again, many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. And we begin with matters of the presidency, because the Supreme Islamic Council vows to initiate measures to address the noticeable differences among leading Muslim scholars in the country by setting up committees to help foster, relations among citizens. Alhaji Mohamed Lamin Toure, former president of the Supreme Islamic Council, made the revelation on Saturday during a convergence of religious leaders with the president. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The proposed strategy, according to Lamin Toure, is geared towards an early response mechanism in resolving problems that could spread beyond control among believers.
Some of the religious problems we are experiencing right now have prompted the Supreme Islamic Council to come up with strategies that will ensure committees are set up in different regions of the country, tasked with the responsibility of handling troubling issues caused by people from the onset to avoid further conflict.
The common ground preaching by these sets of scholars was centered on the maintenance of peace and harmony between people despite the odds. Over the years, the Islamic religious sphere has been somehow unstable due to the overlapping comments between prominent scholars which are scandalous and malicious. The recent death threat from scholar Bakausu Fofana to his disciple has sparked outrage in the country. This, however, prompted the government to issue a release in condemnation of the incendiary gap between religious scholars.
We have many scholars. We are aware of religious practices due to knowledgeable people all around the world. In our country, we have many as well compared to previous years. Almost in every community you visit, there must be someone who serves as a leader, teaching people acceptable practices. Despite the presence of multiple scholars, why are we always at loggerheads? Why can't we understand each other? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves.
The Gambian leader seeks support from religious leaders in the maintenance of peace and order through their actions and preaching. For iAfrica News, Binta Jallo.
Binta Jallo reporting there as President Barrow meets with religious leaders earlier on today at the State House in Banjul. Now, Nigeria's central bank has stopped supplying forex to over 5,000 forex bureau operators in the West African country, leaving them with limited options to acquire foreign currency. The move, according to the Apex Bank, is due to the illegal financial transactions some of the operators are engaged in. This has, however, shattered the hopes of many others who had plans to join the profit-making business. Let's have more details of that in this report.
BDC operator Tunde Adetoba has been in the business for 8 years now. He's one of over 5,000 licensed operators who purchase forex from the central bank and retail to end users. But operators like Tunde now have to rely on other sources as direct supply from the Apex Bank has been cut off.
CBN allocation of foreign exchange is just one part of the business. So other parts of the business are going on, even though the intervention from CBN over the time has formed a major chunk of the business. But for licensed BDC operators, they can carry on their normal business even without allocation from central bank. For any operator that has been selling within their allowable limits, you will continue to trade from other sources and they continue to be in business.
BDCs were set up to receive a weekly forex supply from the central bank for onward sale to end users who need $5,000 or less. But the Apex Bank accuses them of illegally trading forex into millions of dollars, way beyond their limits. Some are even suspected of terrorism sponsorship. This has also affected the registration of thousands of other prospects who'd hope to start up their own BDC business.
The activities are making forex regime unmanageable by CBN, and it's their primary mandate. When the price of these currencies are not steady, they are going up and down, and people that are meant to get what are complaining that they are not getting it, or they have to act, because they're losing control of the economy, the monetary control of the economy. So you cannot say to them to fold their hands and watch what was going on to continue. And also, don't forget, there were other charges about money laundering and terrorism financing and all kinds of other things. Once these things come to notice, you are expected to take action.
What's more, there are concerns that the dollarization is putting a strain on the naira and the economy at large.
To deal with the appetite of our people to dollarize our economy, people are preferring to hold dollar rather than to hold naira. And this is part of the speculative activities around the forex. So we need to find a way to dampen the appetite for dollar, to diversify the supply base of this dollar by diversifying the economy. We also need to manage the cost.
Nigeria is an import-driven country relying heavily on forex. Crude oil generates 90% of the nation's foreign earnings, not enough to cater to the high demand. With foreign investments and diaspora remittances experiencing a low, economic watchers advise government to intensify diversification efforts in order to ramp up forex earnings.
And from the report there in Nigeria, we come back home. Now, as Operation Clear the Roads reaches the coastal road, businessmen along the Mamadou Mandian Highway have expressed commitment to do the needful on their own. The exercise to discongest the flow of traffic by getting rid of unwanted goods and services along the sides of the road within the Greater Banjul area and the West Coast region. Gambia Police Force, together with the National Road Authority and partners, began the operation in Brikama, coming down to the Kanifing municipality. Here's more details of that in this report.
The operation has led to the removal of temporary structures in canteens and sub, as well as skilled garages along highway pavements, giving space for the regular heavy traffic to breathe a bit of fresh air. Those responsible for resources such as parked cars, construction materials, mainly of gravel and sand, had been notified to ensure their removal from the designated areas ahead of the enforcement by the joint authority. The Gambia Police justified the operation as a strike to maintain clear pathways for both vehicles and pedestrians to avoid unnecessary accidents and wastage in traveling times. Traffic jams, especially during the prime time of every weekday, is a matter of public outcry to which this operation is expected to heal to a great degree. Musa Balde is a dealer in second-hand goods who believes that the sanitization of the traffic is achievable if the rule of the game is kept in the right hands.
I expect them to come in peace and speak nicely to us before we can remove our materials from where we place them, because it's all part of development. The footpaths that you are saying is not meant for business. I have no plans of removing my things on the roadside unless they give me a genuine reason to do so. But if not, I will not remove them.
Dam Jan is an auto mechanic who has the task of relocating and disposing garage waste, including worn-out tires, ahead of the commanding authority.
The work they are doing is very important, and this is a highway, and pedestrians use it, and these materials, to be honest, should not be here, so that the highway would be free and people can access the roads. So this, to me, is something very crucial for all of us. So before they come, I will remove them from here.
The operation began in Birkama West Coast region by the end of July, leading to a major changes such as the relocation of canteens and parks along the pathways. Once the joint operation delivered its command to the concerned areas, those found wanting are expected to face legal measures on the road clearing enforcement rule. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Fatmata Kasim.
Fatmata Kasim reporting there as the police and other stakeholders continue their operation Clean the Roads within the Greater Banjul area and West Coast region. Now, millions of people around the world are recovering from the coronavirus pandemic, but in many countries like Uganda, people who were hit by the pandemic face discrimination. As we featured in this report, two Ugandan women who contracted the virus explained their experience. Here's more details of that in this report.
Rita Asimire contracted COVID-19 at the end of May. She's not sure where she picked it up from, but self-isolated for 2 months as she recovered. Now that she's better, she's keen to start seeing her friends again. But not everyone is welcoming her with open arms.
I sent out a tweet and said I beat COVID. So very many nice messages came through, but someone sent me a screenshot and said, so all along you were, like you wanted to kill us, something like that. I'm not their friend anymore.
She's not the only one facing COVID-19 related stigma.
Stigma is real. You see some of these things, you just hear about them and they fly, but losing both your parents within a spell of like 7 days of each other, the whole village gets to know what exactly it was. Some of them didn't want to pass near the gate. But the interesting bit was the border guys, that people, hey, can you come and pick me up? They were not there.
There is little data to show how many people have faced COVID-19 related discrimination in Uganda. But psychologists say fear and anxiety around catching the disease is feeding the problem. As more people beat the virus, health activists are urging local authorities to extend psychosocial programs to the community. They fear that if the services are not extended to COVID-19 survivors, more people could suffer mental health problems. Uganda has so far recorded more than 94,000 cases and 84,000 COVID-19 recoveries.
We have lost so many people to COVID, so you don't know when. There's anxiety of either catching it, there's anxiety of exposure to it, there is anxiety of after you have tested, how do you relay this information that I have tested actually positive? So there's a lot of things going on, like also social stigma.
Uganda's health ministry is now sending health workers into communities to create awareness on how to interact with COVID-19 patients. Hopefully, such interventions could help recovered patients like Asimile to socialize easily.
You are watching this week's news edition live on Africa TV, and from the report there in Kampala, Uganda, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The locations, the design, the materials used, all the way down to the latest details are few of many things that we focused on when we envisioned the airport residency. As proud innovators of community estates, the airport residency in Old Yundum, a project by Swami India International, offers unique gated community with 3- and 4-bedroom villas and duplexes. Just 5 minutes away from the Banjul International Airport. Luxury, convenience, and accessibility are some of the reasons you should consider this great housing opportunity. With a clubhouse, a playground, access roads, and parking facilities available for your dream home or a valuable investment, you will find all you need at Airport Residency here in Old Yundum.
Welcome back, and once again, many thanks for joining us. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, the Cardiff Municipal Council on Saturday held a congress to select a new staff welfare committee after dissolving the previous one. This is the first time of its kind since 2014 and since the current mayor took into office. Now, Binti Jallo tells us more of that in this report.
The Congress was geared to select a new committee who will oversee the affairs of the KMC Staff Welfare Association for the coming years. The election was conducted by the IEC after a revision of their constitution. The interim president went unopposed, whilst other candidates were expected to battle for the rest of the places. Elections of this nature was not even conducted since 2014 and since the current mayor took the mantle of leadership. This comes less than a month of the most controversial fraudulent saga involving the suspended chief executive officer. A report which outlined the bank transactions of the former executive also indicated that since they took over, the total payments received from the finance department amounts to $9,270,764 as of 24th June 2021. The amount balance as of 31st May 2021 is $17,570. On the 3rd July 2021, a cash deposit of $350,000 was made by the treasurer, leaving a balance of $367,570,000 as of 3rd July 2021 Ajib Bank account. Another bank account was clandestinely opened by the outgoing executive of the same welfare association at the Ajib Bank without prior approval of the general membership. The incoming president, Modu Njai, believes that being unopposed is a sign of trust from the association members considering the current situation.
So with the new committee coming in, which I'm going to be the president, I knew fully that is a big challenge, and I believe the reason why I am going unopposed is based on trust and confidence. Because with the current situation of the staff welfare, everybody is frustrated. People could have applied in different angles, but reasons best known to them that nobody stood against me.
One of the members of the investigation committee said the committee constitutes of impartial members from different parties.
As General Council, when we passed the resolution that we should send the CEO and all those who are involved in this 12 million saga, they should go to indefinitely. At the same time, the council have passed a resolution whereby my committee, which is the establishment appointment committee, the same time with the contracts committee, so that I will investigating the alleged fraud and the same time the audio which the alleged was our former deputy mayor was soliciting a bribe. So we have our sessions as a committee, so we were investigating the matter. But as you know, the investigation is going on, so we don't want to reveal much things, but my committee, as you know, we are totally independent.
Musa Mane, the compliance supervisor at KMC, highlighted the resolve to address the financial crisis while putting in measures to avoid reoccurrence of the same incident.
So what we did in the constitution that we are going to review now, we are going to have an oversight committee or trustee committee that will oversee the functions of the executive committee, so that what happened will not be a replica. Because the former executive will do whatever they want to do. They are going to withdraw money, they are going to do certain things, venture into businesses without the consent of the general membership. Now, the oversight body or the trustee committee will work in hand with them. Anything that they want to do will go to the trustee committee for approval. And in fact, the president, if he is elected, and the secretary, they are not going to be the signatory to the account. The trustees are going to be signatory to the account, so that we monitor the inflow or the outgoing of monies from the account.
The organizing committee was tasked to organize a credible and fair elections that will see the ushering of a new executive committee for the Staff Welfare Association. This prompted the request for support from Council to hold the AGM Congress. A budget of $160,000 was presented to organize the AGM, which was approved and disbursed due to lack of adequate funds. The committee decided to whittle down the cost of $440,000 for hosting the program in the hotel as previously proposed to $160,000. The outgoing executive committee members of the Staff Welfare Association took over the mantle of leadership from their predecessors in June 2014. And the president, the secretary general, and the treasurer became automatic signatories to the only existing bank account at Trust Bank Limited. For iAfrican News, Binte Jallow.
Now, from that report there on, of course, KFC matters, next we move on to matters of the president engagement earlier on this year. Now, during his 2021 nationwide tour, President Adama Barrow promised residents of Ibo Town the construction of 4-class roads earmarked from the OIC project. According to plans, the main Ibo Town road from Westfield down to the riverside would have been under construction by the fourth quarter of the year. Residents of the area who marked the dates for this anticipated development are now touting the attainability of the presidential pledge. Mariama Cham reports.
President Barrow based his promise of road infrastructure on the much talked about OIC summit schedule for Banjul next year. With that, the disaster hotspot town will have experienced a better living condition, especially during the rainy season.
I
have one thing to tell you, the people of Ibo Town. I did not come here empty-handed. I brought something for you, the people. I will tell you people, with the road projects of the OIC, Ibo Town will have its share. In 50 years, there is only one road to Ibo Town, starting from Joko, and the main road from Ibo Town to the riverside. It is part of my projects, which I will be launching from March to April. By the grace of Allah, you will see machines in Ibo Town here. It has been 4 months away from the proposed date by the president, when residents of Ibo Town are yet to set eyes on any indication of fulfilling the promise from the presidency. Yahadi Chebo, one of the residents, observed that the president has been silent over the issue and that is somehow killing their hopes.
When
he came here, he told us that he will help Ibo Town, but he has forgotten about us the very day he made these promises. Barrow is not coming here anymore, and as we are in the rainy season, any driver you mention Ibo Town to, we will not even look at you. Also, when it's around 4 to 5, the Gele is going to Badalo will not go. Since the rainy season started, I haven't stepped outside. People don't attend your events in rainy season due to the bad road. At first we believed his promise, but his silence made us lose hope. They were all just empty promises.
Babakar Gay, one of the commercial drivers plying the road of Ibo Town, tells of the challenges confronting them due to the bad roads.
President Barrow has really betrayed us. We were hoping at the very moment he said those promises, we thought by this time we will be running on a smooth road. And right now, the rainy season is really affecting our vehicles. As you can see, how huge the garage is, only the gele that are running. The taxi drivers would have been here, and passengers wouldn't have stand here and wait for vehicle. So all of this is because of the bad roads. We are really suffering. If the president can help us, then honestly, we would be very happy.
Malik Jau, who is also known as Baifal, is of the view that a promise is just what it is, and that they are waiting on the president to deliver.
Our president is our president. He came here and promised us, and we were hoping that to happen. But still now, as you can see, our roads, when the rain starts, it's always a challenge, and the government is ours. They are the one who should come to our aid, and we the citizens should be behind them, but at least they should look back to us. because when there is an election, we would go and vote. So they should also fulfill our needs. So we are still waiting.
But Hawa Sise believes that Barrow should be reminded of the situation as he had experienced the mobility challenges in the place at least once.
Parce que moñu promise lolu té ñom ci gannaawam lañ nekk so dafa mo wara dimbalé ñu défar ñu yoon bi.
He promised that to us and we are behind him, so he should help us with the roads because we suffer a lot with these roads. If it rains heavily, any taxi you pay $1,000 to bring you to Ibo Town will not take it because of the roads. The terrible road conditions are way too long and we want him to help us with it. The president himself knows the area because he has been coming here way before he became president. So let him help us because the roads are bad.
The constituency with over 30,000 inhabitants has been experiencing poor road networks and bad drainage system over 2 decades. The situation is likely to persist as their latest hope for development is at the midnight of the very political circumstances around them.
Standing right now is the exact place where President Adama Barrow made these promises to the people of Ibo Town that he would construct first-class roads to the people of Ibo Town. However, as you have heard from them, the people of Ibo Town have said that they have seen nothing made of the promises by President Adama Barrow. So, Mr. President, the people of Ibo Town have crossed their fingers, waiting whether the promises you made to them will be fulfilled or not. Reporting for iAfrica News, this is Mariama Cham.
Mariama Cham reporting there as Ibo Town residents await the President Barrow's pledge during his 2021 presidential tour that he will build first-class roads linking the area. Now, finally, Nigeria has witnessed a significant drop in the capital importation in the second quarter of 2021. Despite being Africa's biggest economy, Nigeria is still struggling to attract foreign investors in the market. The situation has left experts critical of the state of the country compared to the first quarter of 2021. Here's more details of that in this report.
The capital importation report is a clear indication that more than a year since Nigeria exited its last recession, Africa's biggest economy is still struggling for foreign investors' confidence and recovery is still slow. In the first quarter of 2021, the country attracted $1.9 billion. The second quarter figure of $875.6 million is among the worst in recent times, with foreign portfolio investments alone accounting for 63% of the figure.
So it's a pretty much complicated situation that we have right now compared to where we were, first half of 2021. Our recovery process is still very much weak, compared to the 16-17 recession. And also the fact that the year so far has been filled with a lot of fiscal indecisions in the sense, conversations around the revenue crisis, conversations around the insecurity challenges and how it's impacting on inflation and further stretching the value of the currency. And so when we put all these things together into context, it will simply speaks to the fact that there is a great lack of clarity in the Nigerian economy right now, and that's impacting on investors' confidence.
The report shows the United Kingdom continues to top the source of capital investments in Nigeria, accounting for 35% of the total capital inflow. While the banking sector accounted for the bulk of the inflow, 89% of the capital investments ended up in Lagos, the country's commercial capital.
We've not also done the hard work of ensuring that FDIs and capital investments are properly spread across different sectors to unlock value chain relevance and to grow the potential of returns and all that. And that's also depending on the fact that we've not appropriately locked the potential of those sectors, and linking them up to more market-focused opportunities and exploring market value in that space. Until there's a form of market value, investors will not see the need to invest in a particular sector. And as there's a form of an enabling environment, when it talks about security and all of that, it's also the same thing. Investors will not see any incentives to invest.
The struggle to attract foreign capital inflow is telling on the country's reserve, and by extension, the local currency, which has been coming under increasing pressure in the last 1 year.
But what we have noticed is that because of the dwindling foreign reserve that we are experiencing in the country, that CBN has not been able to meet up with the demand of this foreign investor anytime they want to leave the country. So because of that, some of them are trapped in the country. They've not been able to repatriate their fund back to their destination. So because of that, they've been skeptical in bringing fresh funds into the system lately.
The last time Nigeria had a major break in its capital importation inflow was in 2017. But 4 years after, the country is yet to see another rise, indicating a significant drop in investors' confidence in the nation's economy. The insecurity challenge in some parts of the country has also not helped matters at all.
And from the report there in Nigeria on the country economic matters, we finally bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, you can also visit our website on africa.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching and do have a pleasant night. Bye.